So projects, we can just start a new workflow. And then, yeah, you've got different options here. So we've got simple image generation here. So we can just click this and it'll create some nodes for us, which is really, really useful. Very, very helpful. And it's as simple as that. So you add your prompt in here, you click run workflow, and it'll generate you an image. Okay. But if you want to change the models, you have to add a new one. So we've got some buttons here on the left. So you can hit plus. There's presets, which we've just seen. We've got pan mode, which is just camera movements, keyboard shortcuts, turn the workflow into an app. So that's one later on, and then moon fill. So yeah, cool. I prefer the dark mode. It might not be that clear for people, but we'll have a look. And so if we're going to use Nano Banana, let's bring that in. Because Nano Banana is really good at if you want to combine elements. So if you want to bring in multiple sculptures together, or you want to create a certain pattern on a certain sculpture or a certain object, that's really useful. So you can come in and just right click and delete this guy here and go straight down, and then we can put our prompt in there. And so what's really nice as well, this can actually also take image prompts, which is what we're gonna do. We're gonna load in our sculpture, and that's going to be the main input, and then we're going to have multiple prompts for each of the lighting conditions, and we'll string a few up based on what we have and what we want. So image prompt, upload a file. So I'm going to do this. Just gonna select it from my downloads, the original one that we had, this guy here. And that can be an actual image like this as well. So let's see that. Just because we're going to use that, we can reuse that node later. And just for consistency, I'll use the same one that we had before. Okay, make that a bit bigger. So what we have is, this is the file. This is the image that we're going to start with. Okay, mixture of hard surface and sort of organic forms. And what we're going to do is actually change some of these prompts. So I presume that the photo shoot app's got a number of different prompts that it's actually adding to, so you can actually concatenate things, which is just merging. So you can add a prompt onto a prompt, if you like, either at the beginning like a prefix, or at the end like a suffix, to be able to get what you want. And then this is the actual aspect ratio outside. So I want 9:16 output aspect ratio. I want 2K images, and we can add multiple image prompts if we want. So we could have, if we want this one to be a one particular lighting setup, we can do. So let me go back to what we were doing before with the nodes, because we can see what we've done. So that's untitled. So let's go back to apps, go back to the photo shoot app. Okay, cool. Because now we can extract the lighting that we want. Okay. And so let's have a look. So what we're going to do, the goal here is to add one image, and then it spits out multiple lighting examples of that particular sculpture. Okay. And then we can see all of those and then choose which ones we want to then put them straight into a video. You can automatically just thread it all through, so it just spits out a video of whatever's chosen, but you might not like that. And there's like a whole, you know, credits kind of thing. So if I come to here, this was just a dramatic lighting with a cinematic scene. So we'll start with that and see what we get. So we'll do this. So that's that prompt. Okay. And so if we were building this as like as an app in the future, you can set this to be the input. And so my thoughts are that we don't have to do it like this. We can just put the prompt in there, which might make things a little easier or cleaner, but we can just copy and paste this setup here like this. And now that's also going to be fed into there, and we can change the prompts. So the nice thing is we can line up the prompts like this if we want to. and then we can have to the right as messy as we want. So we can just very cleanly have the input image and then the prompt. And so actually coming in and saying what else we wanted. So this was really nice. I really like this. So we're going to take this prompt and actually include this into our nodes as like a little app. Okay, that's that one. And then we can do the same again, because when we click run workflow, it's going to run all of these simultaneously at the same time, which is nice. So you can see that Nano Banana Pro is 150 compute units per go. Okay, so we'll see what we get. And now that we've matching settings of things, yeah, just check they're all okay. That's great. And so now again, we're gonna shift and left mouse click these guys, Control C, Control V, and that's gonna copy and paste what we have here. Okay, drag that up. And anyone who's used to sort of a node-based workflow will find this very easy. What else did we like? This was okay, very moody. I think we'll do, it's very similar to this. I prefer that. So let's do a nice daylight scene. Let's take this here, copy, and pop that in this one here like this. Okay. And so now what we're going to be getting is these 3 image outputs. So that's going to spit out 3 images. And we can then just look at those if we want. And as I mentioned before, if we want to take that image, we can just stretch that out and say that actually we now want to generate a video from that. We can then have, let's have a look, what worked really well. Kling 2.6 worked really well. And then we can actually add a prompt of what we want. So yeah, if we want to, we can then automatically blend from whatever this result will be. Whatever this result will be into that to create a 10-second video straight away. So whatever output it gets will be really interesting, because we haven't specified camera angles in this at all. This is just a lighting change, so it might be exactly the same camera angle, which could work really nicely, but adding a nice subtle orbit as the lights change might be cool as well. So we'll play around with this and have a look. So at the moment, I'm just going to click run workflow. And you can see all 3 of these have activated at once. So I presume this is how the photo shoot app is, that it has the prompts for the cameras for each of these. And what it's doing is producing a photo. Take the image, the input image, take the input prompt, and then that is then being fed in for just the lighting. Okay. Cool. So as I predicted, this now shows the same camera angle but new lighting setup. Okay. Now these are happening. All of these are done. It's now then running the video. So now it's going to go from this lighting setup here into this lighting setup here, which this is gorgeous. Love this. And then this one here is really, really nice. So yeah, and if you want, you can stop nodes at any point. You don't have to run the full workflow. For example, if we just wanted to just take this and then do generate video, and then do Kling's great, so we'll go with that. And this will cost 556 for just this. And this prompt, let's just say a smooth, gentle camera orbit. See what happens. I want the camera to go to the right. We'll see what happens. Sometimes it does it first time, others it doesn't. Let's look at the rest of the settings. 10 seconds. We don't want you to generate audio, even though that doesn't have an, it does have an impact on the, yeah, cool. And then we could just run that node on its own. So whilst this is running up here, which is combining these 2 images into, we didn't add a prompt in there at all, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out. Maybe Maybe that's just a text default. We will see. That's with a prompt in the white. Cool. And so this is all being fed to different servers. Okay, this is done. Let's go full screen, see what we get. Okay, it's doing the orbit with the lighting. Okay, it's not listening to the end frame at all. And it is generating audio, which we don't want, so we'll just remove that. And let's say static camera transition between start and end frame lighting conditions. Let's see what we get. Okay, we just want to run that node. We don't want to rerun those because we're liking those. They're quite nice. So this, as a way of working, for me personally, is a lot more intuitive. I think we can rerun prompts, and then they stack in here. So we'll get an option to switch between different images. But this, just instead of scrolling in a feed back to something else that worked, you can actually use this and just spatially place the items around as much as you want. So you can bring in whatever images you want as a reference and stack in multiple things, and it works quite well. So let's have a look. Let's see if we manage to get a good spin here. Cool. So the camera went the wrong way, but it's quite nice. It's like altering reality. You see the windowsill underneath is warping and bending, kind of Inception like, but the consistency is really nice. So let's say camera orbit left, and logic dictates that that should work fine. Let's just run that node. Run node. No. What's happening? Go. There we go. Cool. So this is the basis of the nodes side of things. So you can you could bring in multiple images. So if you wanted to use different camera angles, so if you want pure consistency, so this particular sculpture, because it's perfectly symmetrical, it's quite easy for it to determine and understand completely. So for objects that are more consistent, or if you get a character, for example, and you've got a front shot, you've got a 3/4 view, you've got a side view, and you also want a back view, say for instance they may have a ponytail or something like that, so you don't want the video model to hallucinate what's at the back there. One thing that'll be a really good test is to see if Nano Banana can help produce the images to be able to do what it is that we want to do. So you notice, because we've got two outputs here, we can switch between these here. So let's see what happens. Okay, perfect. So we have the static camera, and the lights are the things that are changing. So let's watch this now, full screen. Cool. It gave us a random blue flickering light at the top, which, because I haven't hand sculpted this, I'm quite happy to see the creative fluctuations, because there's some really nice yeah, happy mistakes that can happen. So this is really nice, and we've got some moving smoke as well. You know, the concrete, the smoke comes in, there's like a light behind, completely blows out the concrete almost. There's a little shadow there, so that's really nice. So that's produced a really nice result, which is great. And then we can actually say, right, well, let's transition from this frame to the next one. So we can actually then start to sort of storyboard these things. So we're going to go from this guy to this guy, and run that again and see what we get. And whilst that's running, we'll watch the results of the other one. So this was really nice. So let's go run node again. Let's have a look. Okay, full screen on this one. Okay, So as the camera is orbiting right, the sculpture is rotating. I mean, it looks really nice. The end frame, so what's nice is it's actually provided, it's hallucinated all of these details in the middle, which I tend to love. Actually looks really nice, but then you'll notice the keen-eyed, the end frame here, this looks like a different sculpture. You can see here, this shape is all completely changed. This is now more hard surface and edgy. I mean, I don't hate it. It's nice, but if I go back to here, you can see the difference. So this is more biomechanical, a bit more bone-like. So yeah, it's really interesting to see the difference. You could argue that if we provided, used Nano Banana to create the end frame side of things, then that would be much better. So this is how we get control, is with that end frame side of things. So Nano Banana Pro, Nano Banana have the best consistency side of things, be able to achieve that consistency. So if we ask it for a different camera angle on this image, then put that into the start and end frame, then we'll get much better results. So let's do exactly that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we can just copy and paste this guy. I'm going to remove the prompt entirely. How do we do this? Click this guy and then click that dot. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take this output, this image output. Okay, plug it in down here because we want the result. Yeah, what we're going to do is this Nano Banana change from this studio lighting and put it on the windowsill. We've got some nice daylighting. And then now what we're going to do is going to ask for a different camera angle of this shot, and then we're just going to animate between those two as a nice example. So we'll see how that looks, see what we get. And so you can just put this here as another item, and then whatever that output is will also be then the end frame that we have. So let's set that up first and see what we get. So we're going to ask Nano Banana. So take this image and then let's ask for like a top-down, slight top-down camera angle. Same lighting, same consistent form and scene. See what we get. Cool. So I'm just going to run just that node. That's going to produce an image, and once we've done that, we'll set the rest off. Okay, let's have a look at what this gets. So now we're asking this one to transition. So the whole wall and window are coming in here. So you can't fault it, as in you can't fault what we asked it to do. We asked it to transition the lighting, and it's done exactly that. It just breaks the rules of physics. So a great, really nice, happy accident. Really quite nice just to see how that works. But let's rerun that prompt again and see what we get, because it's really nice, and we might get an even better result next time. Let's run that one again, see what we get. Yeah, so this hasn't changed the camera angle. Now I have had some issues with this in the past, so let's see. Yeah, let's see what we can do to fix this. So this is a bit more discovery of how we get Nano Banana to take an image input and then create a new camera angle. Let's have a little look here. Create a new perspective of this sculpture. See what we get. Run node. So yeah, if you guys, I'm going to be doing more of these, all different themed. Some of them will be VR sculpting as well, and how to take those and essentially use AI to help render them, and how to get more quality and detail. So these sculptures, the more material or materiality that you put in when you're creating them, you get some really, really nice output. So I want to add more details to the gold. Okay, so this has created a slightly different camera angle. It's not great. Let's make the prompt more, let's just go top down. Create a new perspective of this sculpture. Top down camera angle. Let's see what happens. Okay, one node. So yeah, if there's anything in particular that you guys would like to see, I want to provide more value than I get. So yeah, let's if you get some good ideas and it fits with the themes, then yeah, absolutely, we can take a look in a future session. Next time, maybe we look at finding these good camera angles as well. So, okay, cool. So what it has done is has rotated the sculpture, but this looks a lot more consistent. And yeah, I mean, if we animate that, it's going to rotate, 45 degrees. So let's just have a look at that. And it'll do it nice and slowly. So the camera's going to move up and slightly to the left as it does this. Start frame, end frame. Okay, let's run that node. Okay, and now that's, whilst we're waiting for that one to finish, we'll have a look at this. So let's go full screen, full screen. Yeah, we're still getting that moving window. Unless we prompt it specifically to do something else. Yeah, I'm not sure what else we're going to get. All fun testing. Let's see what happens if we ask it to use this one first. Let's see what we get. How are we doing? Cool. Yeah, I've got plenty of compute units left. Yeah. So you can really start to play around with some of this. And yeah. And when this is all hooked up, if you wanted to have a complete end-to-end, so I put in an image and I get a video out, what you can do is you can pull this out here, and then in the options here, you can actually come into video utility and so combine video and audio. So you can actually then plug in multiple videos into this, yeah, and slice stuff together. Which is just mad. So yeah, you got lots and lots of options here to make like a repeatable thing. So if you're doing multiple outputs a lot of the time, then yeah, and instead of you having to write out the prompts each time and clicking rerun, having to sit there like I used to do with Midjourney for the last couple of years, is actually be able to get these consistent, repeatable, you might have your own standard lighting specifics, standard lighting setup you want to use, specific camera angles. And so what might be really quite nice is a video that has the same lighting, same camera angles, but multiple different sculptural forms. And then you'll be able to see, you can then cut between them. So you have the video playing, showing the different sculptures, but you can then just switch between those quite dynamically. Okay, this one's done. Let's have a look. Oh, okay. It decided to get a bit creative. So, yeah. Again, hallucinating the back, but we know that it's going to come back to be consistent with that end frame. So I'm going to rerun that again, see what we get. And maybe just 10 seconds was too long. If we make it 5, it might do that nice in just 5 seconds when still. Stop. Okay, we've got this camera orbit. Let's just go. We're telling it to go left. That's what was wrong. So we want a smooth, gentle camera movement. Just leave it like that, nice and simple. Go back to 10 seconds and rerun that one and see what we get. Okay. Cool. Let's see. All right, this guy's done. Let's jump into this. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it is nice to see the light change on the sculpture. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We didn't really come in with a plan or a storyboard of specifically what we want, but yeah, we're just looking for consistency here. So we wanted consistent camera angles and consistent lighting, and so yeah. Once we're happy with these kinds of things, yeah, well, that's what we're gonna get. So let me. I like what we did here. I thought this was really nice. But now we have this set up, we can now do this for any sculpture. So I can come here, remove this image entirely. Okay. Let's upload a file, and I will upload another sculpture. Let's have a look. Don't think anyone's really seen this guy. So, this is an interesting one. So, again, a lot of it's blown out by the white, sort of matte black, some sculptural forms. It's not incredible. It was fairly nice. And then, yeah, we'll just wait for this guy to finish, and then we'll run the full workflow with this sculpture. So we'll have this sculpture, exactly the same camera angle, doing the different lighting conditions. Then we ask this one specifically to have a new camera angle. So you could have multiple nodes. You could have multiple camera angle nodes coming off of here saying, do this camera angle, do a left, do a right, do a super macro close zoomed in one. You can even specify different ISOs and different lenses specifically in there, and then really play around with depth of field, and all within one particular node setup. So yeah, let's keep going. Let's see what the result of this was. Okay, I don't know what the wobble's about. We've seen that before. But yeah, super steady camera movement. We could run it again. We could say no wobble. Smooth, gentle camera movement. No sculpture wobble. And we'll figure out what happens. We'll see if that... Let's do static. I mean, it has to move a little bit. So that's fine. Static sculpture, no sculpture wobble. See what happens. Okay, so now we have this full app workflow. We have, this is the starting sculpture that we're going with. We're asking for dramatic lighting, cinematic scene, then a strong backlight on one, and then the soft natural daylight. All happening at once, and then once all those three images are made, it'll then make this one, which will then feed into this node. So this will be finished sooner than this one because it has to wait for both nodes to be finished. Very interesting to see if it uses the old one or if this node will wait until this and this has been generated. We will see. Let's test it. So click run workflow. Yeah, this node can't start down here until the one above it has finished. And yes, it is kind of wasteful going straight to video without having to see the results. So it's entirely up to you to be in this environment or not, and pick what you want. And yeah, if the credits are concerned, that was super quick. Look what we've got. Okay, really nice. And then we've got this one here, also really nice. And then we've got the daylight one. Okay, yeah, this hasn't started yet because this is still processing. So the logic is there, which works really well. So yeah, great. Exactly how you want it to work. Now the video node is running because we have the second camera angle. So this is the higher camera angle. Okay. It's actually orbited a little bit. So this is now going to be Nano Banana interpreting what the back side of that, like that left side will look like. And it's mirrored the sculpture, which is very typical of image models. Doesn't matter how dynamic the form is from this side, a lot of them presume that it's mirrored on the other side. And this is where later I will want to come up with and curate each side or each angle. So if a sculpture, you know, has like potentially 3 cameras looking at it from every side, what does that look like? If we can define that and lock that in, yeah, and then change the lighting of those consistently, put those into the video model for frame to frame, we can get a really nice orbit happening nice and consistently. Cool. So we've got both videos currently running, both running Kling 2.6, and then we'll see what we get out of it and see what we like. Any of these. I'll also cut this this live stream down into a proper video so that cut out all of the waiting, as is typical for this kind of stuff. And then yeah, we'll have a look and yeah, probably make some shorts from it as well. Okay. Yeah, whilst we're waiting, we can always come in and have a look at the other apps that have been made, which is really cool. So make yourself into a Sims character. What have we got here? CCTV footage, GTA 5, GTA Me, t-shirts. Yeah, very cool stuff. Big head, supersize me. Concept car video looks pretty cool. So you can click, let's have a look and see what happens with this one. Yeah, Nano Banana Pro and VO3 for the camera moves. Stitch the videos. Nice. So you put in the photo of the car, and it generates all of that for you, which is just crazy. So yeah, no text prompt needed. But that will cost you 2,505 compute units. So be very careful before clicking generate on all of these. That's the main caveat here, is always check what the compute units are going to be before hitting generate. Yeah, this one, 428, which is quite nice. So this, you pick the photo of the person and then the background. Because Nano Banana is really good at obviously replacing the backgrounds as well. So cool. Let's have a look at what we've got. We have results coming in for both. So let's go full screen on this guy. So all of this is doing is transitioning between the lighting. So the smoke comes in, billowing. Really nice. Cool. I would love the camera to orbit at the same time, but we would have to generate a new position and that new lighting side of things to get that orbit as the lighting transitions. So maybe we squeeze that in before we finish today. Let's have a look. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Okay, so it orbits twice. Very interesting. But I don't think it's the same sculpture on the second time you see it. Very interesting. It's not bad. It's quite nice. It seems to be on a board or a piece of paper. Yeah, very interesting. And so if we want to do a different lighting setup, so let's go back to here. let's copy this node that we used before. So we want a different perspective, but we want and the lighting to change, but we're going to blend between those two. So what I want to do here is take this image input into here, get rid of that one, put this one in. Okay, and then move that over and then bring that into there. So specifically, same sculpture, but I just want a different camera angle of this guy and pump that in. So the camera will move and adjust the lighting as we're going. This is going to be quite nice. So I specifically just need to run this node and then we'll manually rerun that one. It would be good if I could click and say like run everything, like including that node and everything to the right. That might be super useful. Might put that bit of feedback on the Krea Discord. Okay, let's see what we got. Wait for that one. Let's see what else we've got here. Yeah, some good stuff. Exploded view drawing, style transfer. Yeah, cool. So these are apps, and then there are some examples here as well. So, okay, use your own prompt to compare Nano Banana Pro versus the previous version. Super useful tool there. Selfie to fine art, mythical creatures. That's quite cool. Consistent videos. This is what we want. Sneaker campaigns, sports brands, infinite loop. I mean, this might be quite cool. Let's have a look at this guy. And cool. So because this is specifically there, it sets up the whole thing for you. So I'm just going to condense these nodes a little bit. We can see what's happening if we do it like this. And then let's see what the output is. Okay, so we've got like a scene generator one, which is really interesting. And then we've got different styles here. So again, we can actually apply different styles. If you trained your own Krea style, you can actually bring those in. Let's have a look at this. That's quite nice that the camera slows down to there, and then yeah, the lighting changes and does that. So yeah, really nice loopable video. Very cool. So we have a prompt making this first image. This is how it's built, and then we have an actual image there. And they've renamed these animation part 1. Yeah, that's generating the video. And then what this is doing is getting the last frame. Okay, super powerful. So being able to plug in a video, get the last frame or a specific frame, okay, then be able to put this in here gives us the nice smooth output. Because one of the hardest problems to solve is that as the video starts to hallucinate, the longer they typically run on for, if you're not using start and end frame, but you might like where what it's hallucinated. So being able to extract that end frame is super powerful. You can then start a whole nother animation from that fixed point. And what this is doing is it's feeding it back into itself. So yeah, it's feeding in the start and the end so that it'll actually transition nicely and get a nice loop. So this is really nice as a project. So if I go back here, so that's what's nice about the examples. As soon as you click any of these, it actually opens up the node editor and you can actually see how it's been made, which is super useful. And so you can learn. So if you've got any real interest in going in and figuring out how all of this is done and new approaches, you can open up all of these, open up the project and figure out how they're built and then reuse it. Absolutely, it's a great point. Okay, we got a nice new camera angle of this lighting. Maybe we should have done it of the other one. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this. I prefer seeing it like that. So what we're going to do, I'm going to flip it on its head. We're going to change this guy here. So we're going to get rid of that. plug in this one, move that up, and plug you in here. Run this again. So we want a different camera angle of this lighting setup, so that when we blend between the two, this will be the final scene. This will be the ending shot, ending location, ending camera angle, ending lighting condition. Yeah, cool. And so, yeah, if we want to bring those all together into one where you can just run it from the start and it just stitches all of the videos together. It's not drastically different. I want another one. Let's rerun that again. That's not very good. Come on. It was very quick last time. I'm curious to see how they do the cinematic car shots. Okay, so this is what a full scale node workflow can look like. You know, we take one car side view, and we've got all these prompts built in. And so what this is you can actually call the LLMs within the app, which is super useful. I've not gone through, this isn't an exhaustive tutorial on how to use all of the nodes in there. That's for another time. But here you can see we've got a massive prompt that's come back that's numbered. Okay, because the prompt here was write 10 prompts for this image in its exact car driving and action situations, different dynamic compositions. Lots of great keywords that you can use here. And so learning from how they've done that, we've got this really cool 15 part prompt. So you asked for 10, it gave you 15. And then what you do is you pump this long bit of text into this line splitter. Okay, and then that takes number 1 and pumps number 1 over here into this image generator. So this is Krea's own image generator. Yeah. And so that has generated all of these different images. And so it's then fed that to each of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all here. So these are the first 6 prompts plugged in. And now what you could do if you wanted to, what they're doing is they're using this image as a reference. If I expand the settings, you can see that it's got that in there. Now, if you wanted it to be entirely 100% consistent of this, so what's missing here is we don't know what's on the bonnet or the roof. But if you come here, you'll notice that actually the bonnet is different in almost all of them, because it's hallucinating. So you could use switch from Krea to Nano Banana for all of these, and then add multiple images. So if you had a couple of 2 3/4 views, one from each angle, or 4 for real consistency, then yeah, that will then generate you those different camera angles from a consistent design of one car. So we'll do that next time. But then yeah, this is quite nice. We've got different lighting. There we go. And then this is now, what's this doing? Another LLM is writing another prompt. It's receiving these 4 images as well. Splitting the lines again. Okay, this is doing... Cool. This is then producing video. So this is now write a prompt for each of these, and this is actually producing a video prompt, so that when we can come in, we can actually watch this particular video. Cool. And this is using a different video model. Yeah, which is doing some cool stuff. Different. Not sure if they wanted sparks out the front, but they're getting it. And this just shows what's possible. Here's just some of those outputs there. Cool. Let's check on ours, see how we're going. Yeah, okay. That's a better... I probably shouldn't have waited so long. It's different. This is different enough from that. So we'll run both of those for 10 seconds. Stop. We don't want a static camera transition here. We now want something a bit more dynamic. So what we want is the smooth, gentle camera movement. Okay. Gotta always check the prompts and then run that again. So hopefully cancelling that cancels the credits. So it stops the credit spend because it didn't complete the job. So fingers crossed. So whilst we wait for that, let's finish this up. So yeah, this is one nice way to have all of this working for us. And then you could stitch all of these videos together if you wanted to and have transitions. So where you do that, we looked at this before, but video utility, which one was it? That's combine video and audio together. What we want is stitch videos. Okay, so this will actually come in and you'll be able to stitch those videos together. This is in reverse order, but we'll keep going. And then you've got different transitions: fade, dissolve, wipe left and wipe right. I'm not going to run that, but again, just shows you how you can click run from the start, add one input image, and it all does the rest for you. All the prompts are already in here, fully embedded, ready to go. Yeah, cool. And then yeah, click run. Okay, delete. Let's wait for this guy. Whilst that's running, let's replace this guy. There's one sculpture here that I have that's quite nice. It's I like the forms in this one. This is something I'd have on my desk. I think this is quite nice. Obviously perfectly symmetrical. You're not sure what the back is going to look like. That could be, you know, that's something for another video. But what we'll do is we'll rerun everything as well on this, just because we can. Get some nice outputs. Okay. Just wait for this to finish. I don't know if... Oh, there we go, that's done. Great, let's have a quick look. Full screen. Nice. So we have a really nice camera movement and lighting transition. So I will probably put this as a reel on my Instagram, just as it is. Could upscale it using Runway and see what kind of details we get. But what's really nice and consistent is the cracks. They don't warp, they don't change, the form isn't stretching. Yeah, there's some really nice things here. So the materials all stay the same, but as the lighting changes, you see how these materials react. So yeah, really, really nice. There's one little bit here that looks like it warps there, but that could just be... Yeah, it does look like it warps, but it's a tiny detail, and it was a very quick sketch of a sculpture design. And this kind of iterative process is just second to none. Being able to come in and be able to do all of this is really, really nice. So yeah, cool.